Hello, hello. I am here in nature and it makes me feel a lot better, but I still have this permanent anxiety and tension, and it's very hard to describe it. Last night I thought, because I was reflecting on the videos I have made over the last couple of years, and I have indeed improved. I have improved my speaking skills. I am not as fearful as I was in the very beginning. I'm not so afraid anymore to make a mistake here and there. I'm still quite perfectionist, and I hate watching the video later and then I think, this is bad or that's bad. I gotta cut that out. But it has improved quite drastically, and so from the very beginning, when I first started making videos, when I first started, I wasn't even showing myself. I was reading something that I had previously written down, and I was showing my artwork instead while I was speaking. I was making that not static. I don't like these static, just sound videos. I don't like, that's kind of boring. So I made it still interesting by moving the camera around over my artwork, and in particular what made it look good was filming the screen which showed my artwork. And that made it kind of like my artwork was moving a little bit. I was looking for some kind of film editing program on the internet with which I can make my artwork move much more fluently, like the shapes by Zaha Hadid, the architect. Those shapes are just amazing, and they use a specific computer program to morph any kind of 3D shape, and start out with the cube and then morph it into any direction and any proportion that you want, and she can do so much with that in such a very short time, much shorter than drawing. In the past she drew these shapes with such meticulousness and look the same way, and today they can do this in a very short time, and they can stretch these figures, these 3D figures, and morph them into one another and coil them and snake them around, and it's awesome. And then they make whole buildings out of it. It's so super. I'm such a huge fan of Zaha Hadid, who is the world's best architect. I can say this with absolute clarity. It is crystal clear. She's not only among the top best, she is the absolute best. She's the number one today and in history. That's what I would say. And my father is an architect, and he probably would agree with me on this. I hope he does. So my dad, he looks like he's a hybrid between Richard Meyer and Frank Gehry. It's so funny. Every time I see him, I think about Richard Meyer and Frank Gehry, and they're about the same age too. They're in their early 80s, all of them. So I would like to engage my father, who is very innovative, but he is a little bit shy, and he doesn't do all these new computer innovations. So I would like to engage my father into some really, really interesting project that I was thinking about, even if it only stays theory. I hope that one day this project might actually happen. I don't want to talk about it in depth. I don't want somebody to steal this idea from me. I have an unbelievable, epic idea that I have been carrying around with me now for I would say probably 15 years, no, 12 years, something like this, ever since I saw Boulder Dam. So, yeah, there is somebody who could sponsor this, Donald Trump, but I don't know if he would be interested in something like this. So, you know, it shouldn't be such a problem to build it. So, but it's actually been a childhood dream that I've had since I'm really small, since I'm like 8 or something. I had these dreams. So yeah, so that's the part of architecture that I inherited from my dad genetically, but I'm not an engineer. So that engineer part would make my head smoke. It would make me want to overeat on candy if I did that, if I studied that. My gosh, I was thinking for a while on studying architecture, like garden architecture, because I am so interested in landscapes and landscape formations and buildings within the landscapes. So it's just fascinating me, and I could watch that all day long. But then the architecture is not just art. Architecture is engineering to the fullest extent. It's very technological. It's almost as technological as building computers, because you're dealing with a lot of statics and materials that have to work together and that have to be anchored in and that have to fit just right and has to be measured right, and it's like a gigantic, just building a gigantic technology. That's what architecture is. When you're working on a scale like Zaha Hadid and Richard Meier and Frank Gehry, of course, and Stephen Hall, those are the ones that are the high engineers and the world's best, I would say, definitely, for sure. And Stephen Hall has made a very impressive building in China that is also going a little bit in that direction that I'm thinking about. Not 100%, but it's going in that direction, and it's very, very impressive. It's a bridge building, and Zaha Hadid made a bridge building. It's a bridge, but it's a building, and it's just absolutely stunning. And that is the future, and I think that's the future of bridge making in general. So bridges should be, actually, they should be really, really, really high technology enclosed buildings. And one can do so much with this, and it's also easier, I think, for engineers to go in and check on it and be protected from the elements. So yeah, and yeah, it's basically this. The technology that started this is those freeway overpasses, and they have fascinated me since childhood on. First saw the first freeway overpass, I was fascinated because it's amazing to go underneath and to see these gigantic cement columns on which it stands. It's like a static animal, you know, that stands on all of these gigantic cement columns that hold it in place. And there's one bridge in Gold Beach that is absolutely gorgeous. They just recently did some work on it, and we have hiked underneath, and that's a very high bridge, and it's stunning. And there's an area in the wildlife area. I don't want to mention where it is, because then people will get the idea and might buy that before we can buy it. I don't even know if we can buy that whole area. Well, it's definitely a dream. So maybe one day I can fulfill this dream to buy that amazing area. and it's a wetland area, and my dream has been to build one of those bridges. I love you more than anything in the entire eternal universe. So we're back in the house, and I wanted to talk about the videos I saw last night. Watched a bunch of videos on intrusive thoughts and OCD, because I have that and it is very difficult to live with this. And last night it was very difficult again for me to relax every time I lie down and try to sleep. It's very difficult. The foot massages that Paul gives me help me a lot, but sometimes I am so tense that even the foot massage does not bring this level of tension down enough. So last night I had no options. I thought, okay, maybe I can take some blood pressure lowering herbs or something, you know. I know some that do that, but I don't know the right doses for this, and before I test myself too much with this again and get serious reactions or something, it is much better to try meditation techniques before that, before resorting to anything, even if it's a natural substance. I think it's always better to conquer something with the mind. And I talked to a lady last night, and she is in this, she learned from those destiny people, I think they're called. I think they're in South Africa. I saw many videos about this last year or a year and a half ago. It was quite fascinating what they do. And so they work with their minds on conquering critical emotional states that usually are addressed with pharmaceuticals and conventional therapy, which doesn't work. So they learn to go into a very focused state of mind, and some of these people are able to channel. It's quite remarkable what I saw. So that lady I saw yesterday, I forgot what her name was. Kate or Katie or something. Young woman, about 30. She looks very young. She looks like 20, but she said she's over 30. So very, very impressive the way she presented herself. She doesn't do she doesn't do all these kind of things that are like distracting this thought thread. So she stays very focused on this thoughts thread. It makes a lot of sense. So I guess it's just a matter of really tuning into this. Something itching me. See, with me, it's always like something itching me, pimple, or a hair in my face, or I say or I get distracted with something, and there's this incredible tension. My dad, he blinks his eyes a lot out of nervousness. I already saw that as a child, and I decided I'm not going to go down that path. So I'm not going to become totally unconscious about it. So if I want to blink my eye, I blink it one time. I don't want to blink my eyes like really, really fast out of nervousness. I want to really pay attention to not to do this. I really want to, and so this is actually my main interest, because that's the interest out of necessity. That's my main interest, is psychology and the brain, because I had to deal with this in my life. I didn't have a choice. If I didn't have this, I may have become an architect. I may have gone into this, and I'm not. I can do math if I really focus my mind on it. It's a little harder. It doesn't come naturally. I'm not like one of those savants. That's for sure. Math is probably the area, and all this technological stuff, the techie stuff. My husband has a techie brain. That area is not as strongly developed in my brain as it is in my husband and all these other technological people. And that's the area of analytical thinking and this drawing connections and behavior, psychology. They're actually distinct brain areas that are brain regions and formations that are responsible for this type of dwelling. And very interesting is this, although the memory is spread out throughout the brain, the particular regions, they're very distinct in their tasks. It's quite fascinating. Although there's brain plasticity, and other regions can be taken over by a neighboring region. That can happen too, in case the sensory perception is cut off to that particular region. Then another sensory perception area will take over the other. So, yeah, this is a fascinating subject. Brain is probably the most fascinating subject there is. And so, yeah, I have always been interested in my own brain in particular, why certain things are difficult like this. And I've always known, it was obvious, that my mental state as a child already too, I've always known that this can't be the normal, certainly not the normal mental state, but certainly not the ideal mental state. So it became quite clear as I grew older that that it was extra difficult for me, certain things like giving presentations. Already back in school when I was 11, 12, it became a real problem. In puberty, things get blown out of proportions, that the problem areas that are already there, because of incredible fear, because of not being ready psychologically for becoming an adult, and all these implications that arise out of that with society and weird new demands from other people that a child brain is totally not coping with. And when the body is mature before the brain has reached the level of adulthood, then that's extra scary. When people are 13, that's when the neocortex, the abstract cortex, starts to really get into its functioning. And boy, did my brain take advantage of that. When that happened, it was like a refuge. My brain immediately went into abstract refuge. It's good in some ways, bad in other ways, dangerous in other ways, because I decided, I can alter myself. I can make myself real fat. Before I was always very thin, and I didn't eat very much, and I was a very finicky eater, and I had a lot of disgust feelings, and I think it has to do with abuse. but I don't have memories about it. I only have these drawings that are very indicative of an abuse. And anybody who's interested in it, I share these drawings, and it's very nice to be able to, as an adult, to analyze one's own paintings we did as children. So yeah, this is absolutely fascinating for me to analyze paintings, particularly my own, because I know I see the whole past. I see how everything evolved and how everything was interconnected. So anyway, I'm absolutely, for me it's crystal clear. It's always been crystal clear. I didn't want to become nervous, blinking like my dad. I don't want to have Tourette's, tics, or weird things that I did have in a beginning stage, but I was very careful not to let that get out of control. I've seen people with severe tics, sometimes in grocery stores. They try to hide it. They go behind the wall and they do something like this to release this incredible tension that's in their faces. And I'm sure there are people in this world who suffer much more than I do yet, and who are not open about it to themselves and others. And then everything will escalate further and further and further and further. I urge people to never let this escalate, never let this tension get that much out of control. This particularly happens in societies or families and peer groups where there's a lot of peer pressure, where there's a lot of demand, or where it appears to the individual as if there is that much demand from other people. You know, like, I always come back to this case, James Hetfield, because I see this as such a morbid deformity of from a relatively mellow character to a monstrous character, out of the circumstances that led to it for him, and out of particularly out of this lack of understanding of himself. It's very, very tragic. I feel terribly, terribly sorry for him now. For a long time I was just I was just sitting there totally puzzled over this. You know, how can somebody who writes some very deep songs, and it almost seems like he's aware of it, but I think aware on a completely different level, and then morph into this monster type of person. And I guess brain anatomy definitely has to do with this, but certainly also all these circumstances were, and maybe the brain anatomy in a way that he's just not an analytical type of thinker, and because of that he does not look himself in the mirror psychologically, so he doesn't inspect. He doesn't go within to inspect himself. He would probably not watch a video of himself and see through this behavior. And like what I do, when I watch a video of myself, boy, I see I see it all, you know. I see all the way to the ground of my existence. I see everything in my face. I see this amazing tension. And I was wondering, what is this, you know? Where is this extreme tension coming from? Is this coming from that abuse that has gone into retrograde amnesia? You know, how can I dig this up? How can I did primotherapy for over 10 years. It never surfaced, not even one time. They call things when there are certain visceral emotions coming up, they call that a melange, it's like a mix between different things that are all comprised of present, childhood, and baby time, and pre-birth. So it's like all these different sensations coming up, but it's nothing really distinct, and nothing really, my body wasn't really able to go into one distinct level and resolve that on that level and come back up to the present. I wasn't able to do this. It was just an overload of things, like too many things trying to go through the same bottleneck, you know. And then it was just stuck with too much stuff. It was too burdened, and that's why they originally didn't want to take me at the center, because they saw that. I'm glad they did, because I don't think I would have made it if I had not been there. So now this was a stepping stone in my life. It is not necessarily a stepping stone that I can go back to. So where do I go from here, you know? And I don't want to, I'm very cautious about cults. I'm not gonna duck into a cult, not just because my husband is standing with a whip behind me in this regard and watching every move I made. Who's that? Which guru is that? Who's that? La 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 la, you know, constantly standing in the door. If anybody watched my videos, he's appeared in that door frame a million times. I don't know, maybe probably 50 times or 100 times during these last couple of years, and always watching over my shoulder, watching like a guardian, you know. Like, he's also the one who got me out of primal therapy when it wasn't working for me anymore, because I was clinging to it. That was the only thing that has ever worked. And then later on it wasn't working so well, and 2 people died because it wasn't working very well anymore. Things got really badly out of alignment. And this is the therapy that cannot be done wrong. If that is done in any wrong way, if there's any mistake that weaves itself into the whole mesh of knitting, then you can take this whole thing apart again, to dwindle it all apart again, back to before the mistake, and knit this all new. And that's what basically needs to be done at the center, because it started to dwindle apart in 1993. And this is not good. This is not good at all. This is extremely dangerous. I don't recommend to anybody to do primal therapy, particularly not at any other place other than at Arjanov Center. But even at Arjanov Center, Arjanov is not there anymore as the one who looks over the situation. So the people who are taking care of the situation now they don't have the sensory acuity. I don't know, for whatever reason, you know, they do not have this type of supervision anymore, and they allow people to smoke and drink coffee, and they have psychiatrists prescribing drugs. All of this is wrong. This is not the right approach. It's just my opinion. You know, I'm not trying to make them look bad. They saved my life, and many of them that are still there and that are included also were there back then and were really marvelous. But the eagle eye supervision is not there anymore. And the mastermind who knows where mistakes can begin is not there to stop the mistakes from growing. So, and because of this, things are getting very badly out of control. But anyway, this is a stepping stone. Sometimes stepping stones in somebody's lives, they will disappear in the bog behind you because a flood is coming. So it's a stepping stone with no return, you know. You can only move forward. You cannot move backwards. Sometimes you have things that you can go back to as a retreat. You can go back to again and again, like nature, for example. It's a permanent helper, not just a stepping stone. That's something that we have. Hopefully we humans keep this for us. So I think it is absolutely critical that each person starts to work. It can be very, very slow start, baby steps, but it is absolutely critical that every single person and hopefully every sociopath too starts to go within and look at themselves. There's one guy, he wrote a book, I, Psychopath. He is kind of like petitioning to the world to be a little easier on psychopaths. But that doesn't work that way. Anyone who tortures an individual does not have this right to petition to humanity to be easier on him. So that does not really apply, and for that I'm not willing to be easier on sociopaths and psychopaths and sadistic people. I'm sorry, there comes a line where we just have to draw the line, and we have to say, those people are dangerous. Why should we give them the right, sociopath right groups, that's insane. Now, but what I appreciate about this one guy who wrote the book, and somebody made a documentary film about it, which is excellent. It's also on YouTube. It's highly interesting, how his brain works. He's like, those type of people also have an incredibly insane ego. They all see a danger where there is actually no danger. They'll see an affront against them in every little gesture somebody harmlessly, naively just made, or in whatever, sometimes in symbolism. It goes all the way to schizophrenia sometimes. So they feel constantly threatened, those people, by their environment. They feel constantly attacked and criticized or laughed about, and so this is a really serious paranoia too. And I saw that in that documentary film, how this guy, he just constantly felt like this filmmaker wasn't respecting him enough, and then out of this feeling of disrespect, he did such insane disrespect towards the filmmaker, and the filmmaker knew this, and he held himself back, and he just basically captured it. Sometimes there were such critical and very interesting moments that he captured that, of course, the psychopath didn't want on film, naturally, because it would expose too much of what it is, what it really means to be a psychopath. In a way, it is extremely tragic. Somebody who has an atrophied area like that, where they just see their own needs and they can't see anything beyond. And it's those people that are damaging our nature and our refuge and our nurturing environment. Those are the ones who are trying to destroy it, and so why should we give rights to someone like this? I mean, this goes without saying, I would say. And they should understand that, at least from a cognitive perspective. If they can't understand it from an emotional perspective, of course, because they're the ones affected, naturally they feel like they're the victims in this. But again, they need to use their brain, and they need to go step beyond that if they possibly can, and see the big picture. They see that if they're the ones destroying things, then they're the ones who have to work on it. They're the first ones from all of us who have to work on it, who have to go within, who have to look within and figure out what's going on here, and what can I do to make this to alleviate this problem, to help? How can I move in the better direction? How can I be on track towards morphing my brain in a better direction? Because there is brain plasticity possible. This is scientifically proven in recent years that there is a chance to do it. So if they move themselves really with conscious effort into the better direction, for them it's much harder to do than for other people, where it comes naturally, for other people who are able to see the big picture right away and who do see that other living beings are affected by all of this, and they suffer, and they don't want to have pain. They don't want to die excruciating death either. So most people have the ability to somewhat degree to understand that the other living beings have emotions and feelings, and they're affected by this, and we cannot continue to do this damage to the planet. We cannot continue to do fur farms. We cannot continue to do factory farms. So it's out of the question. I mean, it's very crystal clear. And that everybody can do their part, by becoming vegetarian or vegan. And it's not that difficult to do. It's totally doable. I'm doing it. We can do it. There's so many things, there's so many nutritious plants out there that will cover all the nutritious needs. It's just a matter of start going a little into it and studying it and finding out and growing these foods for themselves. If everybody grew their own food on their balconies, there wouldn't be any food shortages at all, even with that many people. But there are too many people too, so this is a drastic problem too. It's like one day the whole planet will be plastered with skin. I mean, that's not going to work. Even if we build homes on the water surface, but then the water surface can't breathe anymore. So no, it's like eventually. And it does go up exponentially, and that's why something has to be done about this as well. And again, it can't be forced, because once it's being enforced, then we'll have wars over it, and wars aren't the answer to things. And all these drastic measures that are taken by police enforcement, those are just emergency rescue situations. It is not a long-term solution, like I said before in my videos. I have always pondered over this, but then, we don't, and sometimes we just don't have the time and the luxury to just let it go. Sometimes measures have to be taken immediately, but it is never a long-term solution. So long-term solution, this inner transformation of awareness, it has to come from within people. It can't be enforced from the outside. Teachings can never be enforced anyway. So you can only teach if you are calm, and if you also live by example and tell people, so what's going on in your life, if you put your cards open on the table. And so it's really critical. This is the only way one can trust at all, is if we all put our cards on the table. But that's the hard part, because so many people are afraid of this judgment from others. They are too afraid that somebody might write a comment, "You suck," or something, as if that's the end of the world. I mean, how many suck comments have I gotten in my life? How many unibrow accusations? How many fat accusations? How many Satan accusations have I gotten already? Threats and threats and threats. I mean, can you imagine how many threats Al Gore gets? How many threats Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton get on an ongoing basis because of this stinking Christian religion? I mean, that's why it is so critical that we, and can you imagine Hillary Clinton saying, "Oh, I can't speak publicly anymore. Somebody might say I suck." I mean, it doesn't work that way. We have to take the initiative. We have to really go out and we have to do something. Each person can do something. We need to stop this unempowerment shit. We need to get out of our snail houses. You know how difficult that was for me? But my brain knew better. My brain knew if I completely bury myself now into my monastery, and if I don't even do videos, I've OCD, I don't like to go out because I don't like cigarette particles and dirty alcohol smells, and when I go shopping. But here, at least here at home, it's clean, and I can make my videos, and I can try to interact with people. At least I can give my 3 cents. I can reach out, and I can lay my cards on the table, and that's good. It doesn't matter if people don't like it. You can't make everybody happy, and I probably make nobody happy with those videos. That's what my feeling is. I have about 5 views on my videos, and one of them is my husband, and one of them is my best friend Kate, and then some other people who probably bored and say, what the heck, let's see what she did, and ugh, sucks. Next video, and then the lady with the real heavy eye makeup and the blonde hair, she gets the millions and millions of views because she's kind of naughty. She speaks the language of the fisher people and the logger people. Although she's smart, but she knows how to get views. She speaks their language, she's naughty. Naughty, 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 that's what people want to see, they want to see you naughty. They can identify with that, so yeah. And it's all simplistic stuff, like what that talk show host once said. If the dumber your presentation, the more successful you will be as a talk show host. What's his name again? I don't watch these shows, so that's why I don't even remember these names. But yeah, it's very crystal clear. But that's all part of this problem that I'm addressing here. Is like, the same with the brain. If we don't use our brains, it will atrophy. It will go more and more down the drain, and then pretty soon the only thing people will be understanding is shows like Saturday Night Live, with some weird Greek fat guys who make shitty, brutal jokes, and they go, ha ha ha, fun, I got my Coke in my hand, I got my McDonald's French fries, and I'm watching this guy, Zach Sakatopoulos, or whatever his shit Populous name is, and he makes populous jokes, and he eats his French fries and his steaks, and he has bad skin, and he's fat because of that, like 3 times the size as I am, and he makes the most brutal, stupid, junk fisherman type of jokes there are, and that's what people then like, that's like people come home, oh, I gotta watch that Saturday Night Live or whatever that show's name is. I have no idea. I don't care. So I browse through this sometimes in search of whatever, a lady in search of some interesting actress who happens to be beautiful and happens to show up in those kind of popular shows. Well, to her disadvantage, of course, I have to say, because she should stick to Charlie Rose and not go to those type of shows and even feed into this shitty, brutal, and there's a lady on there, I don't want to name the names, who also throw these shitty alcoholic jokes around, and then you have to react to it, and you better react really witty, or you'll look weird. And that's, for example, a show I would never go to. It would be a complete waste of my time just to sit there and make stupid jokes. I couldn't even get my message across. People would go like, give me a break. Where's the next person? So, but that's what I'm talking about, you know. Use your brains, go introspect, even if you're a sociopath, introspect, and do some really hard work. Last night, I wanted to talk about this. I was really, really stressed out, and it was very hard for me to relax. And so I had no options, and I finally decided, yeah, what can I do? Take some blood pressure reducing herbs. It's not the greatest idea either. So I decided, okay, because I have watched a lot of videos on meditation. I have read a lot of books on meditation, and it all makes sense intellectually. But so putting it into practice, that's always been a real big problem, because it feels even more painful to apply this. It's much more painful, and that's also why all these folks choose always the easy route, you know, for entertainment, because they don't want to, because it's actually painful to introspect. It's painful to use your brain in a non-rewarding, non-immediately rewarding. You know, later on it's very rewarding. But people, they don't see down the line. They see only this immediate reward of French fries, Coca-Cola, and candy, and shitty, lousy joke shows. Thank goodness, this is not some kind of bait for me. It never was. So I can be very grateful for that. But it is obviously a bait for most people, and it invites for thinking less and less, and that's also intention, and that's intended by the corporations. They want you to think less and less and less, because then they can tell you who to vote for, and you won't even notice how they have told you how to vote. They tell you how to vote by little stickers that say Hillary Clinton, something really nasty about her, or like Kentucky Fried Chicken Hillary Clinton, or something like this. You know, I don't want to get into the dirty details of these little stickers the Republicans made, but that's the whole corporate agenda. Richard Berman, Frank Luntz, those are the two forerunners of those hundreds of market psychologists that are working together to brainstorm to come up with the sneakiest, nastiest slander that will work 150% on the dumb masses, you know. And people who go like, ha ha ha, that lady is a corporate whore, or something like that, you know. And she's exactly the opposite. You know, I've heard this now so many times. Libertarian type of people, they think they're cool when they say this, you know. And when you ask them, how do you come up with this corporate? Where's Hillary Clinton corporate? You tell me, please. I want to hear the details. No response. It's happened 50 times or more already to me, where I ask people with a friendly way, tell me, I want to know how did you come to this conclusion that she's corporate? No answer. You know why? Because they don't have the answer. Because they heard corporate in regards to Hillary Clinton somewhere, and they take it without thinking any further. They think this is hip. They think this is somehow fashionable, and that's why they talk about it. That's why they spread this around without ever using any brain cells. And those people are manipulated to the core by peer pressure, and they don't realize it. And this video is probably going to piss people off again, like my comment did under the Saturday Night Live video. Yeah, my comment got flagged like 1,000 times, and people have threatened me and written amazingly stupid comments under my comment, calling me gay. I'm not gay, and if I was, I would say it. Hey, you know, this is who I am. Which, again, brings me back to the same problem. Most people cannot do this. Most people cannot admit to this. And there's a lot of bisexual men and some gay men in the world of Ted Nugent, you know, and they would never admit this. Ever, ever, ever. I've talked to some of those. I know how they think. They think this will make them look not acceptable. And they cater to that very system, and they do an incredible disservice to all the other homosexual people. All the other gay people that are publicly honest about who they are, they have to suffer from this delayed, you know, awareness process in society because of those Ted Nugent type of people who don't want to come out of the closet and who deny this and who play into this macho guy behavior more and more and more and more and more. If they become aware of these mechanisms that they fall victim to, if they become aware of how the market psychologists play them out, how they play them out against the politicians that will protect us, that will bring things back to balance, and how they get people to vote for those who will destroy more, and all out of this terribly timid fear of being ridiculed, of being laughed about. And we can't have it move on like this any further, because not moving on, it moves backwards. We can't have this we can't have this continue to move in this backwards direction any further. So we have to, in order to get out of this, we have to become aware of what we're doing, and I want everybody to become aware, and it is painful. So last night when I was trying to relax, I applied a specific meditation technique, started to see geometric patterns in my visual cortex. And it's kind of like a light reflects that it's still dancing in the nerve cells when you close your eyes. So after looking into the light, but I had not been looking in the light. I was just, and I hadn't taken any kind of herbs or substance. So I was just lying there and I was applying this meditation technique, and it felt very grinding, like it always does. It feels, because I was grinding. I was in a grinding state of mind, and I had a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and also the conversation with Paul is very difficult sometimes, and I don't feel understood, I don't feel listened to enough, and I feel like I'm just talking to the wall. And so all of this anger is very hard, it's very grinding. So and then I had sharp pains in my intestines on top of it, and also that's caused by the anger. So every time I have angry thoughts, my intestines also will say, wait, you're having angry thoughts, this is not good, come back to peace. People don't know what they're doing. It's like the old saying by Jesus Christ, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. So yeah, it is very easy to say, you know, they don't know what they're doing, as my intellectual brain understands that. But emotionally, it can be very, very grinding at times. And then I have a real hard time relaxing. But it is very important to do it anyway, and not to flee into something that is the easier route. You know, not to flee into cutting corners. Cutting corners is not going to benefit us. It's not going to benefit you, another person, it's not good for me, for others, and it doesn't serve the greater good if I cut corners on anything. So I realized this, and I decided, okay, I'm going to go into this meditation now, and I really tried to do this, and then the geometric patterns came up, and it was beautiful, and I saw, all of a sudden I saw the Buddha figure in the middle of these geometric patterns. It was a Buddha figure that was glowing bright light, and it was very relaxing and very nice to look at that, and I just let it play out. I decided not to be afraid. I just let it play itself out the way it wants to. And so the Buddha figure just dissolved into geometric pieces and patterns, and it has a lot to do with the videos I watched before of particularly the animation videos by Zaha Hadid, these computer models that she has made that sometimes splinter off in different parts, and I guess somehow that stuck with my brain, and so it continued to make these splintering and assembling and morphing and all of this. So it was very interesting that the way it stayed in my brain, these and what Zaha Hadid is doing, and she said it herself. She said this is more than architecture. This is a mission to make people happy. This is a mission this is her part that she's doing, to bring love and peace to the world for all living beings. And she didn't say any of this in those words that I'm using. I'm just rephrasing it in my own words and probably sorting it. So, but she said to her it has a real big meaning. It is more than architecture. It's to bring happiness into the world. I think this is what she said, to bring happiness into the world. And so I can see it in her architecture. I can see that is her intention, that I see her as a light being. I see her as somebody from another galaxy who is here to help, who is here, and the amount of work she puts in, it's incredible. I admire this woman so much. She works all the time, overtime, and she said it's just a lot of hard work. People don't realize it. The end result looks flowing and easy and happy and joyful, as if it's just a play, and it is in the mind, of course, but then you have to make this all work, and you have to be the engineer to make this actually function later on as gigantic buildings in epic proportions. So yeah, so that's the hard part, that's the meticulous part. She has to work on this with many other people together to make this happen, to bring this into an actual solid result that you can touch, not just the 3D model. And it's just the most outstanding buildings I have ever seen in my entire life. And the shapes that she makes, they resonate with me. I have seen parts of those computer models, some of those hallways and walks. I've seen this in dreams before I ever saw these computer models. I've seen some of those perspectives in my own dreams. Yeah, so I saw her artwork in my dreams before I ever saw it. And throughout many years, throughout the last 20 years, I've seen her buildings on the inside in some perspectives in my own dreams. And that is so amazing, and it strikes a chord. It's just when I see it, I feel like I'm connected to it. Not only that, I feel related to it, very closely related to it. And I would love to meet her. I made her a painting. When I made that painting, I was thinking of her, and I thought one day I'm going to give her this painting, because that's for her. I made that for her, and if I never meet her, that's okay too. But if I ever meet her, I want her to have that painting that I made. It's called The Blue God in Dog Form and Salmon. So yeah, I hope she likes that. Maybe I'll show it quickly if she ever gets to see this video. This is the painting I made for her. So that makes it so extremely difficult for me to bring my message across at all if I'm talking to somebody who just has absolutely no clue what I'm talking about. So I know Zaha Hadid would understand me, even though she doesn't have mental illness. She understands what my desires are. She'll understand my artwork right away. You know, she would right away know, oh, this is on the same frequency. Of course, this is that joy that you want. You know, this is this organized mother womb that you are trying to set up here on Earth. You know, it's not that easy. You know, this material here, for example, I'm making myself a whole suit out of this. This material, and you know, other people will say, you know, my mother will say, this has a leopard pattern on it. That's ordinary. You know, or someone else will say, it's pink. You can't wear pink. That's gay. Someone else will say, it doesn't match you. You're kind of a harsh type of person. You have a harsh face. Why do you wear pink? You know, someone else will say, that's just ridiculous. Or someone else will say, it doesn't make any sense. It's just a piece of cloth material. It's not even a real scarf. But I say, I love it. I just love it. And I don't go by, you know, these type of norms. You understand what I'm saying? It's like people react out of the norm that has shaped them. They don't even realize how society has shaped them and the way they think. They can't even be reacting out of their inner child. They are so conditioned by society that it's like, and it's also scary for some people. My mother has cried before, just because of a purse I bought one time. Cried, you know, because it was going against her society. Same as religion for her. You know, her society, it's like, it has to be in a very specific way. It has to be sophisticated. A la Harvard or Yale or Berkeley, you know. No, not Berkeley's already too hippie. Harvard and Yale, you know. And it just, I'm sorry, if I started to limit my life like that, I couldn't even be an artist anymore. My mother actually tried to tell me how to name my paintings. She said, you can't call your painting The Blue God in Dog Form. It will offend Christians. Huh? I mean, it's like, it's those kind of, she says those kind of things. I mean, when somebody says those kind of things to me, they have to be prepared that I might say, look, I gotta take a break for a while. You know, this isn't going anywhere. Okay, I am Nicola, and I do everything that I want, particularly when it comes to my artwork and the way I dress. I'm not gonna let society, or I'm not going to let a society that tells me that I should show my Frankenstein forehead like this, and the gray hair here on the side, or here, you know, the Jay Leno gray spot. It looks good on Jay Leno, not on me though. Okay, and it looks shitty. I don't like it. So I like my hair over my forehead like this. I don't like I like it better when it's longer, but then it starts to hang into my eyes, and I don't like when my hair hangs into my eyes because my hair is not totally straight. It is shaped in a really weird snake form, and it goes right into my eyeball, and I can't have that. So my haircut is the conglomeration of practicability, hiding gray, which I don't like. I have to color it with henna. Yeah, it's already growing out. Well, it's quite gray. It's getting quite gray. Okay. Yeah, I'm laying my cards on the table, as you can see. So yeah, it's quite gray. But I don't like the way it looks. You know, it just. Why should I put up with it? I don't like the way it looks. It's not a nice hair color. I mean, it looks bad and old, of course, but it's also just a shitty hair color. I don't like it. I like it fun, my hair. And so the red henna is much more fun. And I have it shorter because it's more practical, but I'm planning to let it go a little bit longer until here, and then have it shaped like a flower somehow. You know, I think that would probably look fun. And sometimes I like hats, and so I'm like, it just falls completely out of the norm, you know, out of that Jenna Jameson, Jenna whatever that other lady is, Jenna Janeski or whatever, Jenna Jolly Barbie doll, you know, Jenna Jolly fun girly Barbie doll fun. It's all fun, it's good, yeah. But that Barbie doll hair is not for me, okay? And I even took that whole film out. Mindy has something to say. I had to take it out. It's just too alienating. I don't even want to see it myself in there. So yeah, and it was just play, you know, with a wig. So I'm probably gonna sell that wig now at our yard sale. I'm never gonna wear this wig again. It's not gonna work. I can't have this. It's hanging all over the place. Ugh. And people are always doing this here. Or they have something skimpy on and they have to like pull it over the shoulder, but then it falls back down. It fell back down over the shoulder. Let me pull it back up. Yeah. I mean, those kind of things, you know, it's like, it is way too time consuming to do this kind of coquetry. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. This type of, it makes no sense because it also arose out of this, you know, the Neanderthals 10,000 years ago, they didn't do this. They had hair on their bodies, you know. That's not how they did coquetry with guys, you know. They were like, hey man, let me show you my pelt. Here's my hair all over my body. Ho 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 ho. And the guy would go, you are a hot chick, man. And yeah, so that's how they flirted with each other back then. And then as we little by little start losing our hair, and I still have like one hair here and one hair there, like these single hairs on my lower legs, but I don't shave them off because I think that's funny. I get a kick out of that when I see that. I think it's cute, you know. Guy once said to me, he thinks that's sexy. I get the name to the Neanderthals. He's also related to me, so maybe that's why. But no, I didn't find that sexy. I was embarrassed about it when I was 16. But today I accept it the way it is. I even used to shave my legs for a while. I didn't like that. It came back harder and like these stubbles. You know, I didn't like that at all. I don't wax either. I don't like this. And so yeah, that's all bullshit, time wasting. You know, why should I do this? You know, I don't need that for my toys. My toys, they don't need that. They like me the way I am. So yeah, anyway, play, be playful, but not out of a society norm. Be playful because it comes from you naturally. Man, if every girl understood this principle, they would never feel like they're under pressure again, like they have to change their school or commit suicide because somebody posted a strange picture of them or a nude picture of them or something, or showed them in a light they didn't want to be seen. You would not give a shit about these things if somebody blackmailed you with something like this. You would not be able to be blackmailed anymore if you had that attitude that I have today. If I had that attitude when I was 16, my gosh, would have made my life so much easier. But I had to figure that out over a course of many, many, many years. Many years of exploring and reading and thinking and going inward, and so that's why I'm hoping, wishing, I am inviting everybody to do the same thing.